What's up, y'all? We got my dude here, White Knight.
What's up?
He's got a good testimony. I think you guys would love to hear. He's been through hell and back, so
Couple times.
So I don't know. We'll see if we can't get him to tell us about himself and what God's brought him through, and we're going to be playing a little bit of Revelations. I figure Revelations would be a good map.
Revelations is the first book of the Bible that I ever read.
Oh yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I started at the end. And it was actually 9/11, 2001. I was in high school, 12th grade, watching the trade towers get hit with the terrorist attacks, and I had a friend in class whose father was a pastor, and he opened up the Bible, Revelations, and revealed some end-time scripture to me, and it intrigued me to the point that I began reading Revelations after that.
So he was in class, and your homeboys pointed at Revelation and said, "Hey man, this is biblical end time stuff happening right here we dealing with."
Yeah, and I'm looking at the Bible, and I'm reading it, and I'm looking up at the television and watching it unfold.
That's crazy.
First time in my life that I ever seen the Bible fulfilling in my day-to-day reality.
I bet that, like you said, it intrigued you. I bet that started, really getting you into that Bible a little bit more. Did you go home and read the Bible after that?
Well, yeah, actually I did, because I started out by just trying to show other people, like at home and just other friends, because this was 9/11. A lot of people remember 9/11, and so this was the actual day it was taking place. So if you remember the atmosphere of the whole country at that point, there was a lot of fear, a lot of panic, a lot of uncertainty of what the heck was going on. And yeah, so I was showing people that verse, and that got me. Of course, anybody who starts reading the Bible on a little scripture or whatever, you kind of get pulled into it. You want to read more and more and more.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, I ended up reading the whole book. But
oh man, and then I know you was telling me you kind of grew up in the church a little bit, and but you really wasn't so in depth with it. You really wasn't woke up spiritually. You just kind of was in the church.
Well, see, growing up, my dad was a drug addict, alcoholic, and so the first half of my childhood, I was just raised pretty much, like on the street. Didn't know hardly anything really about church or the lifestyle, people, whatever. And so one day my dad was out on a binge, come home, started a bunch of crap with my mom, and my mom was pretty much tired of it and gave him an ultimatum that he was either going to change his life or they were getting a divorce, and kids were gone or whatever. And the ultimatum was they change their life, try to go to church and this and that. And so I was older. I had two younger sisters, but I was older, and kind of got drug into it. I did not want to be there, man. I was rebellious. First time I walked into a church, this lady tried to hug me, and I didn't know what the heck to think about that.
You wasn't with that.
No, I was not with being touched. And so, yeah, man.
Some old ladies at church come up and pinch your cheeks. Oh, he's so cute.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And even the dude, the guys there were trying to hug me, man. I'm like, dude, no. What's up with this place?
Yeah.
And so, I was uncomfortable a little bit because I just wasn't used to that kind of affection, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, love.
Yeah, love, exactly. I wasn't used to that. That was just, it was so foreign.
Love.
But,
I wasn't used to whatever the hell they call that.
And so I rebelled, man. I was I had my whole life plan all worked out in my head. You know, I was into music. I'd written songs and been into hip hop since elementary school. You know, it was even before that. Man, I remember being an infant, a baby. You know, in my mobile home I grew up in, and my mom just handed me like a spoons and pots, and I'd sit on the kitchen floor and play drums. You know. And so, like, I had all this going on, and I had the trying to build that image. You know, I had that image that I had to upkeep. And so, church didn't fit into that very well.
Yeah, church wasn't that cool at that time.
No, it was almost, it was the enemy, you know, because I was straight up evil. You know, I didn't realize it at the time, but it got that way because... sounds terrible, but I did not want nothing to do with God. I felt like God was coming into my world and destroying it, because my family was changing, all this stuff was changing, and I was rebelling, extreme rebellion. There's even a couple times, like I can remember being in church and them doing a prayer, like praying, and I would sit in there and I was praying to Satan. I was talking to Satan, Lord, or Satan, and I remember saying, Satan, man, no, I'm with you. I don't want nothing to do with this God. And right there in the church, that's how far out there I was on the other end.
Oh, damn.
But as time went by, you know, I kind of got used to the people a little bit. I mean, I was a child, so a young man, so pretty much being told I was going to be there. So,
and you, so you getting drug in the church and all that stuff, and you really into with it, and like you said, you was kind of the enemy, or you was looking at church like it was the enemy, so you was rebelling and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was rebelling pretty heavy.
Well, what about that music? Tell me more about that music.
So this is interesting, and this is how God works. Okay, the pastor at this church was an awesome man. I mean, one of the coolest guys I've ever known in my entire life. He come up with a great idea to get me interested in church by putting me in charge of running the soundboard.
Yeah,
I was that much into music.
That sounds like a good pastor.
That was my passion was music, and so I knew if in the future of my life, if I ever was going to do anything with music, I needed to know how to work a soundboard. And so he asked me if I'd be interested, and of course I was interested. As a matter of fact, the day that he offered it to me, my family had pulled up to church, and everybody went inside, and I was refusing to even get out of the car. And of course my dad was still in the process of changing too. He wanted to he was going to come out in that car and tear me up, and for showing my butt the way I was. And the pastor was like, no, let me go out there and let me just go talk to him. And he came out and he's like, this pastor sounds very cool. He's like, the guy that run the soundboard at this time, his name was Richard, and he's like, Richard, he needs a hand in here. He's kind of overworked. It's getting hot out here in this car. Why don't you just come inside, sit with Richard back there, and have him kind of show you some stuff on that soundboard. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds kind of cool, Plus the soundboard, is kind of ducked off in the back corner, Yeah. You're not sitting down there with the congregation, you're kind of in the far back row.
Heck yeah.
And so it was like, kind of
hidden back there.
Yeah, just kind of hidden. You didn't have to sit with all them people trying to touch up on, hug on you and all that,
Yeah,
so.
You didn't have to have nobody looking at you neither, man. That's one of my big things, man, is I really don't like the attention.
Yeah, and see, and the thing was, man, I wasn't used to positive attention. Like, literally, all my attention before was I was either getting in trouble or getting punished for something. That's what I was used to. I wasn't used to anything else, and so it was really uncomfortable. So, yep, got me going on the soundboard, and that got me into the church.
And killed.
So yeah, man, that music's really good, man. It's been in my life a lot. I really like for some reason, man. It's so good. It'll what do you call it when it affects your mood. It can change your mood. Oh, I got you up right now. Blam. It'll change my mood. You know, when I'm having a bad day, all I gotta do is turn on a good old Christian song, and bam, I'm feeling better. And vice versa. Sometimes I'll hear a song and it's just an evil song, and I can't get the damn thing out of my head, and it'll drag me down all day long. I can't stand it.
Yeah, yeah, them subliminals and so I was always really into music. That was my passion. I was going to grow up, be a rapper, be an engineer, and I was already working on that life path at a very young age. I cut my first cassette tape, because this goes back before CDs, and I was young. I might have been 12 years old, if I remember right, and I had a double tape deck karaoke machine, and I had learned how to, put the beat on one side, because back then you go to the store or whatever, and the hip hop, they sold the singles, and you'd get the single, and then they usually come with like an acapella or an instrumental, like 3 little tracks on a cassette tape. But that's how I was getting my instrumentals. And so I was always writing songs, doing that. Put together my first group, probably middle school.
Come in handy later.
Nobody really knew how to do any recording, and I was from the church. I had learned how to run soundboards. I learned how to run the highs, the lows. I had a multi-tape deck recording, and so I had a little bit of experience on doing that. So I was in charge of recording everybody. And then right around this time, so I'm in middle school. Computers start coming out, and everybody's getting those first. What were they? Wasn't Dell yet? What was the first? Not Apple.
Packard Bell.
Yep, that was them. And so the first thing I learned how to do is how to record, the microphone onto the computer, and we recorded our first little album like that.
You down?
And then that started making a little name for myself in the area I was living in at that time, and getting a little bit of reputation, and over time just kind of expanding it, because I'm still young, man. I was probably 15, 16, trying to expand it out. And that led all the way up until, I was probably 18, 19 years old. Don't remember exactly. There was a well-known record label here in Florida that was doing a promotional thing for artists in smaller towns. At that time where I was living was a smaller town compared to Miami, and so I was able to get featured onto it. And so I took the opportunity, and that really boosted my fan base and ego. But I was introduced through this, I don't know really what to call it. I got introduced to some new people that I was working with and around. And this got to... Do we already get that? Skull?
Maybe. Okay. I can't hear it, so we probably did.
So working close to this label, I got placed with other people that were working close with this label. We were recording 2 albums. Well, I was recording an album, and then the other was kind of just a mixtape with a bunch of different features. Mm-hmm. And I had one guy that we called him Raw Raw, and he was pretty much with me 24/7, and he was in charge of kind of like teaching me the ropes that I knew a lot of stuff, but whatever ropes I didn't know, he was kind of in charge of teaching me the ropes.
But they're so screwed up.
And so
Like a handler.
that's a good word to use, because what ended up happening over time is I found out I was slowly being indoctrinated with kind of Illuminati. It started off slow, and then over time, it started teaching us these. They would do rituals. There would be
Getting kind of weird, man.
Yeah, it was getting really weird.
It ain't just about making music.
No. It's about summoning, summoning's a good word. Power and influence that goes into the music. And there was there was some blood rituals where they would kill like chickens, or chickens were done a lot. Rabbits were another thing that they would kind of do, like these sacrificial killings, blood things. And goats. I was never there for a goat, but I knew that they did a couple of them. I have seen chickens and rabbits. I've seen a lot of chickens and rabbits. And then sexual rituals, which not no Diddy stuff. We didn't play with the Diddy stuff. That wasn't around there. But just kind of sexual rituals. And at first I didn't really realize they were rituals. These things were just taking place around, and I figured like, oh, these guys are just into some kind of black magic, religions themselves, and this is just something that they're doing. But over time you find out that it's being done for the music. I've seen automatic writers where they do rituals with a woman who, her eyes would go rolling back in her head, and you can just see this spiritual force kind of take over, and she would be able to write, lyrics. That would then be, one of the rappers would then be picked to perform. I've seen something they call familiar spirits, and that's where they would summon a demon. Let's say you finished your song, it's all done, it's all recording. They would go over the master recording and put it on this demonic altar and summon this familiar spirit that would latch onto it. And its purpose was for the listener, as soon as they heard the song and they got caught into the vibe and all that, it kind of locks them into like this, what would be a good word for it?
Like a trance?
Yeah, it's definitely a trance, but
hypnosis.
It's the hypnosis too, but like a nostalgia. And it's used a lot in like old classic rock songs, and you probably got songs that you hear, and the moment you hear it, it kind of takes you back to like wherever you were, whatever you was doing, to the first time you heard the song. It kind of locks you in like this time period of your life. And that's what these familiar spirits would do. And then you got like the spirits of lust, just demonic stuff that the music industry uses to enslave and control.
I kind of see how putting a demon on the damn track to make you always have this nostalgia to it would keep you wanting to listen to that song over and over. Can't stop listening to it. It means so much.
And it keeps you controlled, because as long as you're under the influence of this demon, then the people who are summoning the demon can talk to the demon and have that demon control you. The demon's kind of like the middleman.
So they got this stuff. They making music and all this stuff, and they're playing that stuff on radio stations, in people's houses, in people's cars.
people are rolling around with their infants and their children listening to it. Not even, I mean, because it's over the head. Unless you've seen the other side, you really have no idea on the kind of sorcery that's in our music industry and our movies, Hollywood, pretty much all forms of entertainment, because they could do it through magazines, they could do it through newspapers. It's kind of, and it's nothing new. It's been around for a long time, but it's very advanced, and it's very real. And so I'm learning all these things. This is the kind of stuff I'm being indoctrinated into. But it's getting very uncomfortable for me, because these evil spirits, and so let me put it to you, let me kind of say, like, I'm going to church and I'm doing the soundboards and all that, but I'm still not a Christian.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a very good actor. You know, I can go to church and I could put on the mask and I could, you know, do the Christian thing in church and then walk out the church and that mask come off and I was back out to doing my worldly evil stuff. You know, I wasn't living the day to day. But now I'm in a situation where I've gotten with these people and I'm seeing with my eyes like some very wicked stuff take place that is very, very real. I'm seeing summonings, demons summoned, and I'm seeing the effects that it's making on people, and so it gets me, kind of opens my eyes and it gets me kind of questioning, like, okay, now if this stuff is real and I'm watching it take place, and I mean, it's so blatantly in front of my face, I couldn't deny, you know, that it, you know, like people want to brush it off. Oh, that's a coincidence. No.
I know you were seeing the rituals and stuff, but
yeah,
you were seeing these demonic presences and stuff.
I was seeing demonic presences. I was seeing manifestations.
Walk us through that for a little bit.
That I am sure of.
Okay, so
Around here somewhere.
You've seen them in the studio and stuff like that, or just like in your mind, or?
So at this point, I'm really what I'm about to tell you. By the time I got to this point, I was already kind of getting really uncomfortable. But we go to this house. It's in the suburbs. Beautiful house, man. Probably like, I wouldn't say it's $1 million house, but it's probably upward about 350 grand, 450 grand. And this is back in like probably 2002, 2003, I believe, that this is taking place. Well, no. This is later. This is probably 06, 07. And so we go in there, and I mean, it's a beautiful place. And we go to the back hallway, and you get to the back hallway. The hallway is all painted black. You know, it got candle, like some kind of medieval shit stuff you would see in like a horror movie. And walking down that black hallway, we get to the back room, and it's just a room, all painted black. Nothing really in it but a satanic priestly altar, and then there's a pentagram, red pentagram painted on the floor. And then you got certain people in there.
Game done shut down on me.
You got the guy that owned the place, and he was kind of like the warlock, you know. And then you got, I think there was 3 or 4 women in there who were, you know, witches, and they're, you know, completely naked because that's just how it was. And one of the other guys that I had just been assigned to be rapping with was having an issue with somebody in his neighborhood, calling the cops on him and all this and that, you know, because, well, I know why now. He's being a pain in the butt, you know. He's one of them dudes you didn't want in your neighborhood. And so he was going to put this curse on this neighbor and summon this demon and send this demon over there to the neighbor to harm him, to put him under a spiritual attack. And so we go into the room.
It doesn't sound like you want that person in your neighborhood. If he's going to attack you with a demon.
No.
It's like, I'm going to go get these naked witches to pray for demons to kill you.
No. And so we go in there and, they're doing this ritual thing. And what's crazy is I'm uncomfortable the whole time, but I'm sitting in this room and I see like a mist, like a foggy, like mist kind of just appearing in the room, like out of nothing, like out of thin air. It's coming in there, and like I get this extreme panic, fear, like over me, because I'm freaking out a little bit, man. It's real, and this thing has this face to it, and so they're doing all this chanting or whatnot, and they've summoned this demon, and so they send this demon out. They tell him where, this dude's name, whatever, and so the thing takes off and then comes back. A few moments later, it's come back, and the thing's like it was almost like a werewolf. Like the face was like a demonic, like werewolf thing, and I've always wondered if maybe that's where they come up with the whole idea of werewolf movies to begin with, was from this demon entity thing, because that's what it looked like. And it's just vicious, just growling, whatnot, because it was mad at us because the person that they were trying to get it to go and attack was a Christian, and that demon was flipping out because it had no power against this man. And so it was like a light bulb kind of moment going. There was all kinds of light bulbs going off in my head, man. This was like a strand of Christmas lights going off in my head, because there's all these things that are making sense now. I know the evil's real. I know that demons are real. I'm seeing it for myself. And then there's these light bulbs going off that this demon could not affect this Christian man. And then the other lights were going off. Was like, okay, so was this a real Christian man or one of them phony Christians? Because he would have had to been a legitimate Christian, to have the power, to have the Holy Spirit protection over him that demon could not influence. Because I was sitting in this room the same time telling everybody I was Christian, but I was terrified and I had no protection at all from these demons, and I'm sitting there taking part in this thing. And so there was a lot of things that were going on in my brain from this moment, and it was almost the moment that I decided I did not want anything to do much with this evilness anymore. I needed to get myself right, because if all this is existing, then I want to be with God. I want to be with God. If this stuff, because I've seen this stuff's power. I've seen this stuff make car accidents happen. I've seen this stuff seen people cheat on their wives. I've seen these spirits, so I know the power that it has. I've seen people get thrown into mental institutes and stuff and lose their freaking minds, drug addictions, all from these little curses and stuff in the music. But this was the first time that I've ever seen it up against God, and that it was powerless. And so
that's a key moment.
It's a very key moment in my whole lifeline. And so I start at this point I start trying to figure out how the heck I'm gonna get out of it, and because I'm in it real deep now. Like everybody I know, everybody I'm surrounded with is all involved in this stuff, and trying to break myself away was going to be difficult because the way that it works is like you go disappearing, they'll come looking for you. You know, not
Illuminati, man.
I mean, not so much like in a bad sense, but I mean, if they don't hear from you for a day or two, I mean, they're like friends. The same way your friends are. If you don't hear from one of your good friends for a day or two, you're going to check up on him. You're going to see what's going on. And so I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to slowly start breaking myself away from these people without causing an alarm, like you know, like I'm a problem, because I know too much stuff now at this point, and so I could be a problem if I wanted to be a problem.
I'm seeing demons and all this crap, man.
Not only that, I know locations. I know a lot of stuff.
You want out, man. You're like, I don't want out of here. I'm done with this girl.
Yeah, and it was just, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back, kind of deal. And so at this point, I'm trying to figure out the people around me and where each one of them stand. I mean, some of them I know where they stand, but there was a few rappers that I had that I worked with prior to getting to this point that I knew were pretty chill, pretty good people. Because at the beginning of this, the whole plan with the rap name that I had, the rap name I had was Energy, and it was a breakdown on positive energy and negative energy. And the whole plan with the guys I was working with was we were going to try to implement more positive stuff in hip-hop, even though we're using a negative kind of front for it. The end goal was to be more positive in it. And there was one guy out of the whole bunch, and there was quite a few of us, that he pretty much said, yeah, man, I'm ready to get out of this too. This wasn't what I was expecting. This done got too crazy, blah, blah, blah. And so I began praying, you know, trying to talk to God. And God's not talking to me, you know what I'm saying? I'm praying. I know he's there. I know he's listening, but I'm not hearing from God. I'm not getting like any kind of confirmation or whatever, but I'm still keeping it up. You know, I'm trying to make it almost like a day-to-day thing. Some days I forgot, you know, it's like really, really infancy faith walk. But then weird things would start happening, man, to where I kind of had the sense that things were turning. There was a time, like this was pretty cool, where I went to the mall, and I'd pulled up into the parking lot, big old parking lot, you know, probably spent 4 minutes driving around trying to find a parking space. Pulled into the parking space and open my door, go to step out the door, and there's a book laying in the parking lot, just right there by my foot. Brand new book, and the name of the book was God Calling. You know, legit. I mean, like, step down, look out, and it's like, boom, God Calling. And I was like, you know, it gave me chills. You know, it gave me chills at that point, because I'm like, man, what's the odds of this? You know, so that's when little things like that started to take place.
It's kind of hard to say. I wonder what that sign means.
Yeah, you know, just crazy stuff like go to the dang fast food restaurant, order something, you know, on your receipt be $7.77.
Yeah.
You know, just stuff like that started kind of like sticking out to me. And so like I kind of felt like God was trying to establish some things, and it probably about 3 months, you know, I'm after the initial thing at the house with the demon that couldn't fight the Christian.
Yeah.
It was probably about 3 months after that. I got a couple guys over at my house because I had a home studio. So the guys would come to my house and record, and we were there. We were recording. I had already finished my verse, I had already recorded my verse. Me and the other rapper. There was 3 rappers on the track. One on hook, two on verses. So we already had the hook. I already had my verse. The last rapper was writing his verse, and so we'd been in there for a minute. And me and the other guy, I was just trying to find something to go off and do, so we could leave homeboy in there finishing his verse without being a big distraction, because we sitting there talking and all that, And so like we gonna let him at it, let him finish his verse, and then we was gonna come back and record. So at this time, man, like I had a bunch of go-karts and 4-wheelers, ATVs, whatever, that we'd go spin around or whatever. And so we went out and I jumped on a go-kart. The other dudes jumped on a go-kart, and we just gonna spin off down the road a little bit and then come back and record that last verse and be done. And so I get on the go-kart, and it's about maybe 7:30. Just starting to get dark, not dark yet, but just starting. And so I jump on mine, I take off down the road, homeboy right beside me, and I had some headlights on them. Got going down the road, and my headlights went out, and that was no big deal. It's happened before. They were running on a battery. I had to charge the battery go dead, they die out. So it had happened before. But I got like a bad feeling about it. I'm like, man, it's starting to get dark. I better not be running, no go-kart, because you know how low go-karts sit anyway.
Oh yeah, you can't see nothing.
Yeah, the cars and all that. And so I go to turn around and come home, but I'm like, you know what? Let me just go ahead. Let me get down to the end of the road. I'll turn around at the end of the road and I'll come back. Well, halfway down the road, I'm hitting it, man. Like I'm pedal to the metal. Well, the car pulls out right dang in front of me. It would have ran me over. I actually had to swerve off the side of the road to keep from getting hit by it. And I had that feeling again, like the hairs rising up down my arms and all that. I'm like, yeah, man, I need to get back to the house. This isn't cool. I could have been killed right there. And see, the other thing too, with all the other stuff that I'd done seen, leading up to this, I get an even stranger feeling when that kind of stuff happens, because it's like, is there evil spirits at play right now trying to take me out?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't even finish going to the end of the road. I just turn around right there, start headed back to my place, and it's a lime rock road, and where I'm at, we had done so much donuts and stuff with the ATVs that the gravel is loose on the road. It's just loose. And so I come on down the road, and I go to take the turn that's right there in front of my place, and the go-kart I'm on slides across the road, kind of drifts, and because I'm on that loose gravel. Well, then the front, or the left side, front left and rear left tire catch the grass on the side of the road, and it flips me. And when it flips me, like, all I feel is just hard, cold steel and bone and flesh just going through a freaking blender. Yeah, anybody who's been in an accident like that, man, there's just this steel and bone feeling that if you've had it, you know it. You can't mistake it. You just know it. And so I have that going on, and then I land on my back. And when I land on my back, I can't move. I can't feel nothing.
Come, baby. 59, eh?
I remember staring up at the sky. I remember I said it was just starting to get dark, like the sun's going down. It's already behind the trees, but it's still got a little bit of light up in the sky. But it was right at the point to where I could see maybe one or two stars just starting to appear. And I'm messed up. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I feel like I cut my head off because I can't feel nothing but like a little bit of air breeze kind of hitting my face.
It's a sign of bad pay.
And I'm looking up at the sky, and I'm kind of talking to God like, okay, I'm dying. Like, this is it. I'm dying. And just trying to face the reality that I'm dying. And as I'm staring up at the sky, it fades away. It's kind of weird to explain. Like, I don't mean like fades away. It's almost like it fades away, but at the same time, I fade into it. And I feel myself leaving the world, like kind of being pulled up out of the world into space. And then it's like, as soon as I kind of come out of my body, I remember just being hit with the most intense feeling of peace.
All right, who wants to try and take me?
And love, just like so intense.
I never met an MG I didn't like.
I can't. I want to be able to explain the best I could about how intense it was. You just can't. Like, it's just so consuming. And then zombies messing up my story, man. But no, I'm being lifted up, and it's just like
it's beady little eyes.
Like pure ecstasy. Like everything good. Like, there is nothing bad. You can't think of nothing bad. You don't feel nothing bad. There's just, you're just so consumed inside out, all through your like whole being, your soul, spirit. Everything is just intense, just love and peace, and just I'm pulled up, and I know that I'm out of the world.
Wait, I'm not turning.
But I still, like, in my brain, you know, because I still feel like I have a brain. I know where the world is, and I know that it's far underneath me. I know where my body is, and I know that it's far underneath me. And I know that I'm in the presence of God, because for one, you cannot deny it. It's impossible to deny it. And everybody's going to see this once they die, and once they leave this world and they're outside of this body and you're put into the presence of God, you're not going to have the ability or the free will to deny God's existence. You cannot do it. And so, like, I knew it was God. And God come up to me just like a best friend would. And I felt like I was standing, and like he was standing too. Very human-like, but very, I don't know, God was very God-like. Like, the being is just unimaginably forever existing, but characteristically, you know, it was human-like. But he put his arm like over my shoulder, like a best friend would do to you, hanging out with you. And when he did that, he had a hand, a very human-like hand, in front of my face that had a picture in it. And it was like an old Polaroid-looking kind of picture. And in the picture was me. And I was standing up. I was on earth, and I was standing up, and I had my arms like I was healed. And I remember God's voice saying, "Don't worry, son, this is you.
I am God.
You will be healed in no time."
That's pretty cool. I like that.
And I remember just saying, okay, Lord, let's get it started. Those were my words to him, because I understood that I was messed up. I understood that I was going to be healed, but I understood it was going to be a major process.
Like when he spoke those words to you, he put all of it in your head.
Yeah, and I mean, while this is going on, there's all these things going through your head that you just know already. Like I did not know I was paralyzed. I didn't know the word paralyzed, but I knew whatever was going on was somewhere up there like that. And so as soon as I told him, like, okay, Lord, let's get it started, it was kind of like me acknowledging to him that I knew it was going to be a process and that I was ready to do it. I mean, really, honestly, I did not want to leave. I didn't want to come back. The place was just so beautiful and just so full of peace and just so full. I mean, I know I keep saying peace and all that, but I mean, there's words that...
You just broke your neck. You're laying on the ground and you're in La La Land, just like,
Yeah. Yeah, but
that's a contrast to peace. You're like, like you thought you was gonna die. You're sitting there like preparing to die, but you just feel this awesome peace, man. This calm.
Yeah, and I mean it's even more than that. But there's no human words sometimes to explain the spiritual realm, just because it exists in like a whole different kind of dimensional kind of thing that we just don't have words for, because we, on our day-to-day, we're not existing in a place like that. We exist in a place like this. Now we have words that explain like peace, like love, but the extent and it's just no words can explain it, and it kind of gets frustrating a little bit, because I want people to know so much of what it's like, but to a certain extent,
you kind of gotta feel it yourself.
Yeah, because I'm human, because I'm flesh, I don't have the ability to really say what needs to be said, or for people everybody's going to experience it. Everybody's going to see it. And so yeah, I went through all that.
And you come back, and you're laying on the ground, people around you.
Yeah, when I told the Lord, I was like, okay, I'm ready to get it started.
This stuff's so damn
I start coming back to the world, and I'm not going to say it was like a sense of falling, because it wasn't a sense of falling. It wasn't really a sense of, there was a sense of coming down. Almost like where I was over Earth. It was outside of Earth atmosphere, upward space kind of deal.
Yeah.
And so like I come back and enter into my body again, and then like the reality of this earth and the things of this earth, they all kind of fade back into my peripheral visions again. And so there I am. Yeah, I'm laying on my back. I got people around me asking me if I'm okay, and I'm sitting there freaking telling jokes, and yeah, I'm okay, and just I'm still in like this euphoria of ecstasy from the intense peace and all that I just come from. And so they think I just broke my leg or something,
Yeah.
They didn't know until the paramedics got there on how serious of an accident I really just had. And I still didn't know at this point that I was paralyzed, because I did have a little bit of blood coming out of my head, just because from the rocks and the gravel that kind of did minor little scratches, and they wasn't serious at all. They were just little scratches. I didn't have any head trauma or nothing, but I didn't know if what I was experiencing was coming from something like that in my brain or what. And so once the paramedics got there, they're doing the pin test and all that. That's where they'll stick needles, like pins and needles, in the different parts of your body to see what you're able to feel, what you're able to not feel, whatnot, and they pretty much went down my whole body, and I wasn't able to feel nothing. I was a quadriplegic from the neck down, and it was very real. I was a quadriplegic.
All right, well, let's go ahead and end it there, and then we will come back and
Stay
the
away
rest of
from
this
my
testimony.
vodka!
See what happens after
It's a classic.
you find yourself without the ability to use your arms and legs. Spoiler alert, he's playing video games right now. So, all right, we'll see you in the
Jesus
next
is king.
one. Jesus loves you!